Hello everyone, my name is Kyle Furman, and this is the presentation on the modern composer life of Charles Ives. Today we're going to be looking at his very early life, where he went to school, his musical contributions, and then finally his musical works, along with his most adorable, but also fantastic, famous piece. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to start where it all began, on the day of his birth, which is on the day of October 20th, 1874, in Denver, Connecticut, where he then lived to be about 79 years old, before he then passed away on May 19th, 1954, in New York, New York. And during this time, he also had support from his father, where he then became an insurance clerk in Connecticut before he then moved to New York as a part-time organist to work for a little bit of money before he became a composer. And then he also conducted his first ever piece, Song for the Harvest Season, in between the years of 1893 and 1894, where we actually don't know when he actually conducted this piece. Well, at least we know it was conducted around that time. So a little bit about his musical education was that he went to University of Yale for about 4 years when he continued his musical career. He was also helped and worked with Horatio Parker to further his knowledge in the US, and he was a very well-known academic composer as well, so he got a lot of help from him with his composer work. And then just a few of his musical contributions. He played mainly the organ and also the cornet, violin, and the piano, and a little bit of the drums throughout his life, as he was also an insurance professional when he didn't write any music. But when he did have a little bit of downtime, he would write music during that time. And also at the tender age of 12, he performed the organ for the first time. So that was the first ever instrument that he played, but he also played a lot of others as well. And then during this time, he mainly composed orchestra music during the 20th century, as this is what drives him to become a better composer and what made him better. Also, his famous piece is called the Piano Sonata No. 2 Concord Mass, which was believed to be finished around 1911 and 1915, but we actually don't know who actually finished it. We all know that it was just partially completed before it was completed by somebody else. And then he was also mainly inspired by Beethoven and also with the help of Brahms, Wagner, and Debussy for his symphonic works. And I can't say his last name, but they all had a big impact on him during that time. And then here are just some of his most famous works, like the Concord Sonata, Symphony No. 4 and 2, Songs My Mother Taught Me, so on and so forth. Again, these are only just 10 of his most famous works, but there are a lot more online that you can look at that he has written during his time before his passing. And I've also included a little link to his performance if you want to listen to that. And then here's a picture of Charles Ives himself. Look at him, he's so nice. And then with that concludes my presentation. So I hope you got to learn a little bit about him as much as I did. I think he was a very inspiring composer, as to any other composer that I have lectured over or done a presentation over. So I think he is definitely a well-known one out of all the composers that have ever lived throughout this time. So